like me. I was lost, but now am found.
It absolutely was my first mission trip. I never thought about myself, even though Jeff had already been on one with Scott. I just never thought it was for me. I just would fund it, but I just never thought that that was my place until like later on in my life.
This was my first mission trip to be on, so I was very excited for the opportunity to go. I didn't really know what to expect at first, but it wasn't anything too crazy, so it was fun.
This was my first mission trip, and it was a really awesome experience, and I really can't wait to go back. But I went because someone announced it in church, and I was like, I really want to go to that, because I saw like a lot of people go to it, like my friends and stuff, and I was like, I think that would be a really cool experience. So.
This was my first mission trip, and it's something I always wanted to do, and when the opportunity came up, I could not wait to jump at it.
Well, this was my first mission trip whenever the church announced that they were going to be asking for people to go on this mission trip to Honduras. My wife and I, Gay, looked at each other and said this is one that we should be included in.
This is my first missions trip, and I love the group of people that I went with.
This is my first missions trip to Honduras in general, and I went with my family and some of my church friends and church family, and it was life-changing.
Yes, this was my first mission trip outside of the United States. Retired back in January of 2019, and this was on my bucket list.
The Daughters of King Day was probably one of my favorite days. We got to take some of these little girls in the community and treat them like princesses for a day. We washed their feet, we washed their hands, we washed their hair. The girls braided their hair, we painted their fingernails, painted their toenails, got them a dress, got them flip-flops, just really made these girls realize how special they are. The cool thing was seeing the moms and how excited they were also about their little girls being princesses for a day. So it was an awesome day.
On our first day of the mission trip, we did Daughters of the King, and these were the materials that were supplied to us by this congregation, which included the pillowcase dresses, the flip-flops, the costume jewelry, and some of the makeup and fingernail polish that was provided.
Well, I didn't know what to expect with Daughters of the King, so when we got to the village, I didn't know what role that I particularly would play. So it quickly came that these manicures that I get every 3 weeks kind of came in handy, because I had the fingernails, the strength in the fingernails to actually scrub almost every little girl's head in the whole village. And it was such a pleasure to serve them and see them go from each little station that we had to just make them feel so good about themselves. And everybody had such an important role, and the end product was these beaming little beautiful girls, and they felt so pretty, and I swear it was such a blessing. It was such a blessing to us.
We washed little girls' hairs, and we washed their feet, we painted their toenails and their fingernails, and my sister and I, we braided so many little girls' hairs. Like, my fingers were hurting after we were done with the day, but it was so fun, and the kids were so sweet, and they were just so happy that we were there.
And then after we did everything, we gave them the dresses to put them on, and then we just treated them like princesses, like they should be.
The Daughters of the King Day was the most amazing day, and before I went to the Dollar Tree, and I bought, I think, $60 worth of little trinkets and bracelets and jewelry and just anything I could think of that either a little boy or a little girl would like. Lots of stickers for the little boys. And when we got to the Daughters of the King, we got buckets of water from the local wells, and we washed their hair in the buckets. Then we took the used water, and we took that water and washed their feet and made them beautiful. Braided their hair and put toenail polish and nail polish on them, and it was beautiful. And they were just the sweetest little kids. Their parents were appreciative, and they really were the most beautiful children I've ever seen on this earth.
It was about a 30-minute bus ride down to where that was located. And I really didn't have any expectations as to what was going to be going on there. But when you start driving through the village and you realize where you're going, and the expectation goes from nothing to, wow, this is going to be amazing.
Daughters of the King was one of my favorite days because I love getting to see the girls have their feet washed and their nails done, and it was just a good experience.
Well, Daughters of the King was pretty awesome. That was our first day there, and I mean, we just loved on those little girls, and they were so cute. And you know, we thought, like, I just assumed that everything was going to be there and ready, but when we got there, Margaret Reeves was one of our leaders, and she said, "Did we not bring any basins?" And I was like, no. So thank goodness we had a construction site right next door, so we were able to get some buckets. And so the boys, just, that's all they did was get water and bring it back and forth. But we laid those girls down on the edge of the little bench in that shelter, and we got these little buckets and a big bucket, and we just washed their hair. And they just smiled the whole time. And then we painted their nails, and Chad washed their feet, which was super sweet, and gave them their flip-flops and their dresses. And, you know, the girls did their hair. It was amazing. And they were just super sweet. I mean, I wanted to take them all home, you know.
And they were really happy. They didn't have much. I mean, they were really happy with what they had. And that was pretty much the sum of the day. We got on the bus and we went home after that.
We went to the dump. I was excited about going to the dump for my kids, really. I mean, and that's how it all started with this whole trip, is taking our teenage daughters to hopefully change them in some way. The dump was amazing in its own self, just for the fact of people worked. It was their jobs. Some lived there. It was smelly, nasty, carcasses, animals, cows there. The amount of vultures were amazing that were digging the same piles of the people. But again, I took that a little differently for the fact that it was their jobs. A lot of them came there to work. They dug for scrap, cardboard, plastic, metal, and hauled it to wherever they hauled it to get paid for the day and maybe make $1 or $2 a day. So.
Okay, so the dump was probably one of the worst days for me. I got up. I was really excited for the dump because I knew it was gonna be life-changing, and I got there and it was life-changing, but it was definitely not in the way that I thought it would be. It was, I almost threw up. So we got there, we were on the bus, we were handing out waters. We could barely see the sky. There were so many vultures. There was cattle there, really, really skinny, disgusting cattle, like cows, and people were everywhere. And this was up on a mound of just trash, pretty much. And people work there. They work there, and they find stuff in the trash that they can sell that's still useful. And so once we did that, we got all the stuff. We handed it out from the back of the bus, and people were swarming into that place. We tried to make them form lines, but that didn't even work. There was still so much. It was chaos. But
the dump was a hard day because it was the most heartbreaking, and it was the most heartbreaking day for me because it's crazy that the conditions that they have to work in and live in, it's just it really hurt me to watch.
So it was like the second day we went to the dump, which was the most emotional day. People work there, and some people live there, like families, like little kids, they work and live there.
Well, first we went to the store, and we split up and got bologna and cheese and bread and mayonnaise, and there's this place called Mia Esperanza that is in town, so we were able to go there and set ourselves up on a bench on benches, and we had these loaves of bread, and we just got all the bread out and we just slapped it on those benches, and we were squirting mayonnaise like in an assembly line. Like I squirted the mayonnaise and Shanna put the bologna on there, and somebody else unwrapped the cheese and put it.
Well, the dump was not anything that I could have ever expected. The smell will be something I will never forget, and I don't think to this day I've gotten the smell out of my nose. And the most dichotomous thing that I saw that day was a little guy pushing an ice cream cart in the midst of all of the buzzards and the flies and the smells and the things that we saw. And I'm like, this is a social thing for them. And how could this possibly be a social thing? So I really, I'll never forget it, but I'll be one of the first ones to volunteer again next year.
You can imagine going to our convenience center on its worst day. It was 10 times worse than that. And these people go there every day and they work, and they have big bags on their shoulders, and they fill these big bags full of recyclable goods, and that's how they make a living. And they are there with cattle, a buzzard, a baby on their hip. They have sandals on, they're walking through the muck, but this is the only way they have to make a living. And it was very humbling. And I sat in the back of the bus and I handed out those bologna sandwiches to hands. Hands were just coming at me. We had a men line, children, and women. And that night I dreamed of hands just coming at me and grabbing bologna sandwiches. And sometimes, of course, they would reach their hands around the side and grab another bologna sandwich. And it was moving.
Anywhere you are, if you're near the dump, you know where the dump is, because you can see the vultures overhead and you can smell the dump. You can smell the dump a mile away. And so they started handing out Vapo Rub and peppermint, and we just started shoving it up our nostrils. And all over our mouth we had the peppermint, and the Vicks was just in the nose. It didn't, I mean, it helped a little, but you could still smell it. But you know, pulling up, I didn't realize how vast it was gonna be. I didn't realize, like, I was prepared for it to be dirty and smelly, and I was prepared to see the people and stuff digging, but I wasn't prepared for how large. I mean, like, the pictures don't do it justice because it just went on forever and ever.
Drive into a facility and see humans with buzzards that are flying around and dogs and cats, and they're all scavenging for the same thing is an eye-opener. So that particular project day was heartfelt for all of us. Anyone that does it is their heart is filled that day for sure, to be able to see what they're doing just to survive and to make money to eat. And we went there that day to be able to feed them, provide just a little bit of comfort for their full day of work in a place that really is not fit for someone to be in for 5 minutes, let alone a full day.
The day we went to the dump, we also went back to our compound and we packed up the bus with big old bags full of flour, rice, sugar, dry goods. And then we took those, we put them in the bus, and we went through the mountains, places you would never think a bus could go. And we would get off the bus and we would carry as much as we could, and we would go knock on doors and give these goods to people that didn't have a lot of food. And one couple I remember especially, the little girl was pregnant. She must have been 16. He was probably 18. And we gave them food, and she just started crying and was very thankful. And lots of the houses had maybe a mom, maybe the dad was at work, but there'd be lots of children. So I felt like we really did do a lot of good that day by handing out food.
Okay, so we went to this one house. We were just walking up, and we saw these two little girls that had just come home from school, and they were in their little uniforms. And Gay loves flowers, you know, and we saw some, I think we saw some bouquets of flowers. They had a whole like area at their house, like down the little steps. There was a gate and some steps, and then the house, and there was a bunch of bouquets that had already been made up, and they gave her one, and we got her picture made with her and the little girl. It was just cute, and she was a little verklempt.
Handing out food was really, really fun because, you know, we get to walk everywhere around the whole village and we get to bless people with food. And Cisco, our translator, you know, has a prayer with them, and he gives them the food, and then we all go on our day. But it was really fun, really good experience.
So the food handout and the distribution, that's what we called it. But it was one of my favorite things we did on the trip, because we got, like, my group that I was with, we got really close actually on the trip, and it was pretty fun because, I don't know, we were on Flower Mountain and it was so pretty, and then we were carrying like 15-pound bags of rice, flour. It was funny because, like, everyone was like struggling to carry all the food, but it was fun, I think, for that.
After the dump day, we went back and got bags of food, like hundreds of bags of food, with like flour, rice, beans. So we went to Flower Mountain, and people like live up there and stuff. And we got bags, and like we gave, it depends on how many people are in the house. But it was really cool because Flower Mountain's really pretty. And then we prayed with one little family, and that was really cool.
Flower Mountain was probably my favorite part of the trip because it was beautiful, and the people there were really nice. And so we grabbed the bags of food and we hauled it around the neighborhood. We went further in to the village, and it was really good. I really liked it. And we met a couple who was expecting a baby, and one of our friends, his name was Cisco. He prayed over them, and we gave them food, and it was really, really cool. It was cool to see all that.
After that, we ended up going to deliver food. That was bags of staples that we walked mountainsides of roads and delivered food to people that were in need, and that really touched me the most of the whole trip, the delivering the food. So
ended our day with the most awesome blessings of delivering heavy bags. I mean, thankfully there were heavy bags of like flour and sugar and rice and beans, and we went into what we call Flower Mountain and delivered it home to home, and we had to walk and then go back and get more, and then walk, and it was the most awesome thing. So to go from what we considered, or I considered, the worst to the best, it was such a blessing. We loved it.
We just drove our bus all the way up through these dirt roads, and we found this little girl. She was probably 12, and you know, I tried to talk to her, but whenever I tried to talk to people, like I had 2 years of Spanish in high school, which was 25 years ago, and like I would like pick up on words, but then when I tried to talk to somebody, they would talk back to me, and I'd be like, I got nothing. I'm just kidding. You know, I don't know what you're saying. So this little girl was so sweet, and she, whenever we would take the bags, some of us could carry 2, and I could only carry 1 because they were really heavy. And then, so like that little girl showed us, like, this is my uncle's house, this is my cousin's house, and we went to her house, and we met her mom, who looked just like her, and there were like 2 other little girls there, and they just had the cutest little place on the side of the mountain. And the reason why we called it Flower Mountain is because they grew flowers, and they would make these beautiful arrangements of flowers and take them down to the city and sell them.
On the 3rd day of our mission trip was the day that was the 10th anniversary of a coup in Honduras, so they did not feel that it was safe for us to leave campus. But there was a group that went up higher into the mountains to build a house. So that day, I was able to reorganize some medical supplies. There was 45 bags of medical supplies. We had to dump out all the medical supplies, start counting pills, and organize them through a numerical system so that when the doctors and pharmacists came on Monday for their medical mission, they were able to take these bags into the community and use those supplies in a very organized and numerical order, so they knew what they were handing out. And also that day we were able to fill food bags that were handed out at a later date. We filled 250 food bags in about 2 or 3 hours, but we were given 55-pound bags of pinto beans, big bags of flour. We had coffee. It was a really exciting time. A lot of the teens did this, and I was one of the people handing out stuff, and I had scooped a lot of beans and a lot of flour.
Of course, one of my favorite parts were the building of the homes, and they were. I say a home. The people that we build them for would probably turn into a home. They were houses. I can almost call it a fort. It was like building a fort, but to them, for what they had, now they had a roof over their head, dry ground or dry floor to sleep on. It was amazing what we could do for these people in such a short period of time, and they loved it so much. And the team, I built a couple homes, but we did one day with our team, and they all just jumped in. I was proud of my daughters, the way they worked. But and the people that own the homes are so appreciative of everybody's work, so it was great.
So when we had to build the house, we had to carry, I don't know, big buckets of nails. I don't even know how heavy they were, but they were pretty heavy, and hammers and all this stuff. It was about, I don't know how far the walk was. It was a hike though, and like the path was like not big at all, and it was like on a hill too, but it was really fun still. And I learned how to hammer pretty well while I was there, and that was good.
We built a house, and it's not your everyday house. It's more of a shack, like, or storage house. No electricity or anything, but it was a really cool experience because we actually built a house from the bottom up, and we built it for for a couple. She was expecting, she was pregnant, and yeah, it was really cool seeing their experience, like seeing their expression when we gave them the house.
I was fortunate enough to get to build houses 2 days. Didn't get to go to the dump, but I did build twice. The first day, we built a house in about 7 hours. And what you need to understand about this house is it's a 14 by 16 foot room. It does have a floor, does have walls, has a tin roof, one door, one window, no electricity, no water. But these folks that we presented this house to after we built the house, it was the greatest thing they'd ever been given. They have built over 4,000 houses in the communities, the 3 communities where we built houses. It was absolutely a great day. Getting to see the teamwork, how our team in particular worked together, because the second day we were all there together. Watching the different gifts and talents that each of us bring was important to us.
You know, that was just like all boots on the ground, and you just had to do it. I mean, it's something outside your comfort zone. I had never hammered anything besides a nail in the wall to hang pictures, and I had to learn how to hammer. I'm married to a contractor for 26 years, and I had to hammer, and it was such a feeling of accomplishment to get the materials in and to be there and to actually hammer. And then you realize just that even though you've never done it, it's outside your comfort zone. It's like, do it, because you can. You've got 2 good arms, 2 good legs, you do it.
So we got there, and there was this big truckload of supplies that we had to unload, and we had to carry. We walked, no breaks. We didn't stop for anything. Whenever we did it, we set up 4 wooden pillars. And then once we did that, we built around it, and we dug holes, stuck the pillars in, the wooden pillars in, and then after that we hammered. We got some of the planks, and we laid the floor out. Then we did the walls and the roof, and then we did the door and the window and everything else. The couple that was living there was they were nice. They were really, really nice. We prayed over them, and we let them have the house. I hit my thumb in the same place 4 times. It was not good. I was very, very mad. Cisco, first time I did it, we had one of my friends' name was Cisco. I hit my thumb. I walked back. I was squatting because it hurt so bad. And then I thought nobody saw me, and then there was Cisco back there just laughing his head off, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I did it again and again and again, and then the more I did it, the more people laughed. And it was, that day was really, really awesome. I really liked it. That was probably my favorite.
Transporting the materials was extremely hard because we had to carry hammers and nails and all this equipment like a mile to the spot where we were going to build the house. The house was really fun because I've never actually built a house before, and I love getting to work with everybody, and it was really fun.
The house went up like that. The people that are getting the house were watching us while it was being built, and it was just really neat to see them. Little kids would come around and watch, and we would give them, you know, little gifts and prizes. But it was very rewarding, and after it was done, we prayed with the people that were going to get the house and bless the house.
For them, it's their home, and it's really exciting to be able to do that. Ours was located on our particular work day, was located up on a hill far away, and it's just amazing to see from start to finish. In one day, we're completing a task that is going to fulfill a small family for a long time in the future. We've completed that all in one task, all in one day.
It really took me back. We started at 9:30 and finished the house at about 3:30. The building went very quickly. Learned a lot that day. It's just basic housing. It's a house that's 16 foot by 16 foot. It's entirely made of wood. It has a tin roof with the tin so thin that when you step on it, it just flattens it out. All the wood is just nailed together. The only power tool we had was a chainsaw. Everything is done by hand.
So Carnival Day, yard sale Carnival Day. So the first thing we got to do on that day is we went to a place called Mi Esperanza. It's a place where they're teaching ladies life skills, and so they're teaching them how to work in a beauty salon, or how to do nails, or to build jewelry, giving them life skills to where they can leave there and go open their own business in their community to help support their community and also provide income. So that's where we started our day.
I think it was Friday. We did a yard sale where we got donated clothes, and then we put them out on tables for a village to buy. But all the money that they received from the yard sale, they put it back into the town to build them a water tower.
And then the people from the community just started coming from everywhere to buy these clothes for 30 limps, which was about $1.50. So for $1.50, they could get 5 items, which was a pair of shoes and 4 different things. And they would get in line and buy their 5 items, and then get back in line and buy 5 more items.
That was something that was unique because you had we priced things so that they wouldn't be getting handouts, so that they would bring money and actually purchase something so that they would understand the value of these things. It was wonderful to take the kids and to hand out candy and use that time to kind of appease the children while the parents got to shop. It was awesome.
We watched the kids and played with them, and like kicked soccer balls and did stuff like that. It was fun.
Played with the kids, and we kicked the soccer ball. We played Duck Duck Goose.
Amazing part about the yard sale was to see a community come together and buy things knowing that that money was going back into their same community.
So we went to church on Sunday, and it was a bilingual service, and like they would sing their songs, and like they would worship in their language, and then we would worship in our language. And it was really cool because they would sing like the songs that I know, but in their language. It was really cool.
A lesson provided by Colby. He's from Sarasota, Florida, and we had Cisco translating for him. And Colby started out really slow, and Cisco started out really slow. Then Colby got loud, and Cisco got loud, and then by the end, Colby was really just using his hands and shouting, and Cisco was using his hands and shouting. It was really interesting to watch Cisco translate for him.
We worshipped at an Indian reservation, which was kind of neat. The congregation averages about 30 attenders in a small church building every week. The week we came, when we were able to worship with them, we had over 200 folks. To hear the message delivered by one of our guys in English and then translated into Spanish, it was a really neat experience to get to worship with a group that, even though we weren't able to understand what they were saying and they weren't able to understand what we were saying, we were worshiping God together. That was pretty cool. I just want to say thanks, Linary, for supporting us in this, for giving us the ability to go experience something that can be life-changing. And I know for my family in particular, it was fantastic. We really appreciate the opportunity and your support.
Thank you, Linary, for setting us up for Honduras.
I want to thank the church for letting me go. It was an experience that I'm never going to forget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sending us to Honduras. It was awesome.
I'd like to give a great big thank you to the church and to our elders for doing these missions, and I really appreciate the fact that I got to go. Thank you.
To the leaders of this church, I just want to be able to tell them that we're so thankful, how thankful we are that this opportunity came up and that they chose to pick this as one of their mission trips that they wanted to look into for future mission trips.
Words cannot express how grateful I am to this congregation. This congregation has just been a blessing to me and our family, or my family. I just cannot thank you enough.
I want to thank Linary. I want to thank the mission team, mission group, and the elders, of course, for this chance to go on this mission trip with everybody, and I look forward to doing it again, and hopefully we grow the team even larger and go every year, because it's something that I think will touch a lot of people's lives in our church and of course in Honduras. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to do this. So thank you.
And I want to say a huge thank you to Linary and the congregation for allowing me to go on this trip.
Thank you, Linary, for letting me go to this awesome trip.
I'm so appreciative to the elders for having the foresight to send us and let it be a thing that we do every year. Wherever we go, just let us go, because it's something that it's worth it. And I really appreciate it, and I say a big thanks.
Hey, Linary, we're from Tampa, Florida.
Hi, Linary, we're from Tampa, Florida.
And Ruskin.
Hey, thank you, Linary Church of Christ. Thank you for sending your group down here. I'm glad that God himself touched your hearts to sponsor them to get here, and to all those who came from the open heart.
Hi, Linary.
Hey, Linary.
Hey, Linary. We are from Honduras, and we are glad that you came here.
Good morning, Linary Church of Christ.
Good morning,
we are
Linary.
so glad that you come. My name's Terry.
And I'm Margaret Reeves.
And we're the directors of the church program this week. And we are so glad that your church came to be with us in Honduras.
There are many, many reasons that we've enjoyed having them. First, that fresh focus that they've brought, having a whole new team, and how much they've enjoyed things. Secondly, they are just adorable people. Everybody is so pleasant, and we love it. We've had so much fun with them, and they tease well, they get along well with everybody. It just is a great fit for all of us.
So have a great day in Tennessee, and hope to see you next year.